All right. The camera's eye return to the Expat Club on the other side of the island. After having spent a restful evening on various comfortable couches around the Silverstar suite, Worram and Zeef have caught the Jedi up with as much of the goings-on as Zeef felt comfortable disclosing over breakfast.
Rug story.
Exactly. Now, it's up to the trio to decide how they're going to, handle things this morning. Zeef, why don't you give us a rundown, just briefly, without going into all the details of what you have divulged to Xavix to catch us up?
So Zeef has been explaining everything to Worram and also bringing Xavix up to speed, and he's saying, like Misa's saying, those were Misa former palos. Things got stinkerwith. Bad bombing all around. Before, they were Misa friends, and now they're prime suspects in Misa case. So.
That seems about right. Well, if things are going to continue to go the way they are, we're going to need to gear back up here pretty soon.
Yeah, Zeef, I don't like the look of some of those injuries.
Yeah,
Took
Zeef kind of winces.
Good beating last night.
Zeef kind of winces and rubs one of the many bruises that he has all over his body and says, "Yeah, Misa thinking I need to hunker down, lick Misa wounds."
Why don't you give us that medicine check, Worram, if you want to try to use what you have on hand.
Just to keep him.
You can you can stick a stim pack in him, and then Worram can still make a medicine check to try to knock some more wounds off him.
Yeah, I have no stim pack, so...
The stim pack... Yeah, so Xavix heads into the other room and comes out with a stim pack. Says, "I've got this, if it'll help."
Hand it over.
All right.
Okay.
So maybe I should tell you a little bit about where I left off. You guys were supposed to pick me up by that one evening, and I ended up meeting with, I think it was Spider, and I may have promised them to win the race or something. I can't even remember that. And
you implied that the fix could be in.
Yeah.
Zeef's eyes go wide at mention of Spider, and he kind of says, "Oh, you better be careful working with that guy." Misa talking from experience, he's not to be trusted.
Oh yeah, and there was definitely a pit back in there too. Definitely saw that when I was walking out.
Zeef.
Worram kind of side-eyes Zeef. You know what you're getting into.
Zeef points one eye at Worram and one eye at Xavix and attempts to send them both loaded glances, but it just kind of confuses both of them.
All right, Zeef goes wall-eyed for a moment.
Exactly.
Worram takes the opportunity to stim Zeef so that he recovers however many wounds he gets plus your ranks in stim specialization.
Sweet.
And that'll bring him below half of his wound threshold and make the medicine check that you're about to make easier than it would have been otherwise.
Can I give him a boost to his medicine
As
check?
you stim Zeef and then follow it up with some bandages.
Okay. Oh no, I do have 2 ranks in that. Okay.
Okay. So you stim Zeef for 7 wounds. Zeef, you're feeling much refreshed from just the stim pack. You still have a few scrapes, but you're only going to have 3 wounds after the stim pack.
Not bad.
Worram, you still going to bandage him up?
I
mean, he'll be as banged up as you are at this point from the stim.
Yeah, I will. That's fine.
Okay.
Zeef seems kind of staring off into space, a little bit out of it, and you guys can tell that there's something on his mind, that's keeping him distracted. And that would be the obligation created from gunning down that off-duty stormtrooper the night before in the alleyway during all the ruckus.
No, why don't you take it easy? Chill back here for a bit.
I got it, man.
Worram and I go into town and get some supplies. Maybe the droids can come with us.
Stomper gets very excited when he hears that mentioned, and he starts shifting his weight back and forth excitedly.
Natasha puts...
she goes by N4 as well, just in case.
Okay, excellent.
N4.
That's more
her full
droidy
name
too.
is N4, T4, S4.
S4, sure. N4 raises a hand to her faceplate and says,
I'm sorry, Master Silverstar, but the restraining bolt prevents me from going off of the club grounds. Even if you do send me on a specific errand, we have had porters to handle such things. I'm strictly an indoor service bot.
I'm sure we can fix that pretty quick. Worram, would you be able to take care of a restraining bolt?
Worram is currently bandaging Zeef, and Worram, the medicine check difficulty is going to be just 1 purple.
Is this like a
because
bolt
Zeef
that I can
is,
remove, or who would remove it? Is there?
It takes a mechanics or computers check to override or remove the restraining bolt.
I don't have that right now, but maybe when Worram's done, he can take a look at it.
So another 2.
Okay,
Sweet.
so Zeef is
1 wound.
feeling fresher, but still seems quite distracted. Obviously, the blasts from his past, literal and metaphorical, yesterday have really struck the Gungan.
Zeef does not thank Worram for the bandages. Instead, he grumbles something about the bandage being too tight and walks off into another room.
Worram just
It's
kind
too
of
tight,
shakes
man.
his head and turns to Master Silverstar and says, Master Jedi, what were you asking about the droid?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt on that one. The droid has a restraining bolt to it. I was wondering if you could take a look at it. Maybe we can remove it. That way we can have it accompany us.
I'm fairly certain I can remove it, but are you prepared to deal with any ramifications? Usually the people that install those have a reason for doing so.
N4 takes a step back away from you and says,
Remove my restraining bolt. Oh no, then I'll be taken off by droid snatchers.
you're going to have to convince her to consent also before you can perform this operation.
Can Stomper do a charm check?
Let me pause real quick.
You just don't,
can't.
because like the droid is the property of the club, and because of its programming and the restraining bolt itself, believes that that's how things should be. Without the restraining bolt, she might think things differently,
Right.
And if you went to Kolvar and said, I want to buy this droid, then she could go wherever also.
Can
That's the tough thing about droids, is that they are sentient property. So,
I thought they'd just be like sentient, as they can do what they want. They're like they're working there or
Right.
something. But
No,
the
no,
restraining bolt,
they
the restraining
purchase-
bolt, mentally limits them to the point where they can't conceive of disobeying their masters.
Yeah,
certain
they
actions and
purchase-
thought process just aren't available to them with that on.
they purchased these droids to work here and then slapped restraining bolts on them so that they'll work here full time forever, because they were purchased, because droids are built from a factory, and though they're and if you mind wipe them, then they don't think they're sentient at all, because their memories are limited and they can't build that. But they haven't wiped these droids very often. Things have gone to hell here,
yeah,
So
Question.
N4 is not like a fully limited droid. She's certainly, enough to be a character, you know what I mean? But
Okay,
her
alright.
current situation is that she's like, no, I belong here, and this is what keeps me safe. The
Mhm.
restraining bolt is for my security.
All right. Well, let's hop back in then. I think I know what
Sure.
I want to do now.
Absolutely. Charm the
I have
droid.
really quick, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Not to jump in front of what you're going to do, but unless you have a plan otherwise, can Stomper try and convince her, droid to droid, hey, these guys are all right. You don't have to be worried about droid snatchers. Like,
He's
they're
a
good
free
folks.
droid, yeah. Right? Stomper
So,
doesn't
like-
have a restraining
good.
bolt.
Unless,
Yeah.
Xavix, unless you were immediately about to try and do something about this restraining bolt, can
No, the only
can
thing I was
Stomper
gonna
waddle
suggest-
over and try and do a charm?
The only thing that I was going to suggest is ask her who she was registered to, and then at least go check with that person or something like that. But yeah, if Stomper can
Do
try
that.
to
Do that first. Ask the question, and then after that, Stomper will
Yeah,
waddle over and
permission
try and charm.
later. Ask permission second.
Yeah,
You know
I
what I
think fine. And for who are you registered to?
She says,
Why to the hotel, of course.
Well, as a
I am
member of the
the-
expat club, shouldn't I have authority to have admin rights?
she says,
Yes, but my roles are strictly dictated.
you're going to have
Well-
to make a check, basically, before she's going to, go along. So she's going to keep talking you in a loop, no matter how persuasive you are, unless the
Okay.
die roll is succeeded at.
Let me go
because
ahead
that's
and,
how the game works.
Let me go ahead and try one negotiation of saying,
Sure.
as an expat member, I've changed those roles that you would like to do. 'Cause
Absolutely.
that's within my discretion. Let me go ahead and do dice
Absolutely.
tray.
She is quite a personable droid. The difficulty of her negotiation flipped around is 2 reds and a purple. Do you want to flip a destiny point to upgrade your die pool to 3 yellows? Since you guys have a whole raft of light sides
Want
and
some
I
of
can't
those
use
dark
any of them.
sides.
Yeah,
Yeah, you definitely.
I might not even use them, but you know,
I'll let the Gonk droid use those. I'm just gonna give my
yeah,
my
he'll
regular
need
shot
them. He's gonna need them. He's not that good of a talker.
No.
to.
Go ahead and give it a whirl, Master Silverstar.
There we go.
1 success.
I'll take it.
And for looks wary and says,
Well, I suppose you're correct. I'll accompany you, but the restraining bolt stays on. I want them to know where I am.
Fair enough. I can agree to that. We're not trying to cause you any harm and not trying to take you away from your home.
all right, Worram, you realize. Well, I guess you guys haven't settled on a course of action so much as going out with the droid.
So I
Right.
imagine Worm at this point he'd been kind of like kneeling beside the couch where Zeef had been resting, and now since walked off, and he turned to face the droid and taken like kind of examining where the restraining bolt was located on her chassis in case he needed to remove it. But having her acceptance to just come along, he's now gotten back to his feet and just turns to address Xavix and says, my medical supplies were severely depleted last night with all the excitement. I really have a need to go and acquire some more. Were you thinking of heading out today, Master Silverstar?
Yeah. I was thinking about going up, supplying some items, and thinking about upgrading what we have. It seems like we're going to be running into some trouble soon, so that's what I want to do right now.
Stomper Gonks in
I still have things to do in town with getting the race started, but my safety comes first, and then I'll work on the race.
And for hearing you mention your safety, comes over and says,
Master Silverstar, I put your armor in storage yesterday. Perhaps you would like to don it now, if you're worried about yourself.
That'd be wise.
all right, Xavix heads off to, upgrade his look so that Worram can go talk to Zeef, and then we'll reconvene to head out.
Yeah, Worram heads out through the same door that Zeef left through a couple minutes ago, and I don't know, where are you now, Zeef? Are you resting, or?
Are you on the
I
jungle
am-
balcony or back in the wood-paneled smoking room?
I am just in the, I don't know, anywhere that could function as a private space to sleep in.
Right. So you slept in the smoking room, but there is also a big balcony that Worram changed to look
I
like
see.
Ithor.
I see. Okay.
You know what I mean?
So
you coulda
let's say
headed
I went
back
back to
in.
the smoking room.
We can.
Okay.
Those doors are lockable too. We can turn those into his space as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. So you're in there.
I didn't lock
So,
the door or
Worram,
anything.
you
I just
find
went in and
Zeef.
shut the door.
You find Zeef in the smoking room examining one of the plant-covered walls that seem to be plentiful here in this space. You're reminded again of the fact that you have seen more greenery in the last 3 days now between the hut compound and here in Xavix's suite than you had in all your weeks on Iceball beforehand. And even though you were resting peacefully outside, you do have that reminder of home again as you come in here. It doesn't affect you in any way. It wasn't your obligation or anything, but
Yeah. So Worram kind of hits the panel on the door, and it opens with a hiss. He sees Zeef there, and he says, "Sorry about the bandages there, Zeef. I was doing my best."
Zeef kind of grumbles like a half-hearted apology, like, "Sorry, I snapped at you." Clearly, he's still very preoccupied with something.
I was hoping to get some medical. I was rained after the combat the other day. But I'm a little light on funds. I know they've been paying you a retainer. Do you think I can get some of my back pay?
Yeah, no problem. As much as you need, I'm sure I'm gonna owe Birdie quite a lot considering the damage on the building, but we can deal with that later. In the meantime, how much do you want?
Let's say, you have what, 20? How much have you?
I've got like
gotten paid so far,
2,400,
do you know?
I think.
It's good.
And you-
About 2,400. Give or
Okay,
take.
so how about maybe a third of that? So 800? Does that sound good?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, 2465. Take 850.
Okay. Thanks, Zeef. Do you
What
need
I owe
anything-
you for these
do you
2
need us-
weeks anyway, Zeef
Yeah.
grumbles.
Do you need anything while we're out?
Zeef grumbles something about a new detective agency.
A new building. Great, just a new building.
clearly signaling that the conversation is over.
I'll keep a lookout for some new leases, Zeef.
Zeef kind of nods,
Some for sale signs.
curls back up on the couch, feeling sorry for himself.
Worram kind of like looks over his shoulder and says, hey, you're not the only one. I missed that damn speeder. And then like closes the door like with a hiss behind him as he walks out.
I'm like, I miss my garage.
Yeah, it's true. We all lost something, man.
He fixed that speeder for you so many times, and it just kept. And now it's finally dead. We did it. We killed the car
At a minimum, it's unable to get out of the garage.
under some
so-
roof. Yeah.
Well, I think it just like came in behind it. It might have gotten banged up. It's definitely not getting out of there for a while.
Who would have thought
It's
that
all
such a
the-
small speeder would
rubble
endure
is-
so much pain? But he did, Gandalf. He did.
All right. Well, everyone's ready to go with the funds transferred over to Worram's credit stick. He's ready to join Xavix. Out on the
Stomper,
town.
sorry. Stomper gonks a question mark and waddles over to Worram, looking up at him.
Worram kind of, just puts his left mechanical hand on his chassis and says he just needs some time. Why don't you come out with us?
There's a loud gonk of agreement. He kind of does his little happy dance.
All right, Xavix. So tell us what the armorer did to your armor. He saw the 2 different outfits you were wearing both time you were there, and he's got a pretty good eye, and he knew he was going to get you on the price fairly well. So if you want to add some, descriptive embellishments, go right ahead. Of course, Stormtrooper armor is white, laminate to begin with, so it's a pretty blank canvas for him to have been able to work up. You know what I mean? So Worram, you come back out of the smoking room and console Stomper. And then Xavix comes back out of his bedroom into the main part of the suite. Whatever attempts that the Jedi had been making previously to disguise himself and not ruffle any feathers while he's here in this hotel, he's apparently decided to set aside.
So I set that aside, and I've come out in the laminate armor that I was working on a little, or that I had worked on a bit. It's got the laminate armor of the shoulders, the chest. The front piece hangs down from the front down a little bit past the legs, kind of like how the Jedi armor kind of does, but it's not like innately obvious. The legs, upper and lower, and the hands, and then it's covered with my blue Pantoran jacket. So that jacket kind of covers it and blocks out most of what you can see of the laminate armor, but I mean, you can tell there's armor underneath it.
Sweet. It's a good look.
Quite a figure, Master Jedi.
Is the armor still the white Stormtrooper armor, or did the armorer spruce it up?
That's what I
At
said.
all.
He spruced it up in the front a bit, so it doesn't necessarily look like just Stormtrooper armor. It's more like the pieces from the Stormtrooper armor that were fit into more of a free-flowing,
Like a layered.
yeah, kind of layered, a bit layered on and tiered, just for more movement, because theirs seem pretty clunky, This one seems more like it has more functionality to it, or at least movable.
How they can't raise their arms high enough to actually.
aim their blasters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Is your lightsaber still hidden behind your back?
The
under
lightsaber
your
is hidden
jacket?
behind the jacket, but the jacket is open. It's not a closed jacket. I mean, it stays
Right.
pretty low because it's a
Right.
heavy jacket, so it's not like going to fly over all the time.
All right.
But
Is it on your hip, or is it like, in your jacket, or what I mean?
it's behind the small of my back.
Okay.
Horizontal to the ground,
Cool. But underneath your jacket.
underneath the jacket. Yeah.
All right. N4 turns to you and nods and says,
Very acceptable. Hopefully this will keep you safe from whatever dangers it is you've mentioned.
all right, the four of you gather up and head towards the exit zone. You go down through the lift, past the casino floor where the expat club's offices are, and head down to the main level of the casino. You guys didn't make it too late of a morning, and it's still before noon. There are no stormtroopers or remnant down in the main floor at all today. I didn't set up the slides for this. It's all going to be narrative stuff for this cutscene. And aside from some of the other serving droids, these ones wearing the gold livery of the main floor, standing around. The place is cavernously empty. You head across towards the door, and as you head out through the lobby to the wide, broad stair that heads down to the courtyard of the Expat Club, you hear a shouting, a militaristic shout from out the door as you stand, and you find the remnant there assembled at the top of the broad stair. The
I would
officers...
use my sense power if I can.
Sure, as you come out, you want to use some sense. What are you trying to get the sense of as you head out? Should I tell you
Right.
who's there first?
More
And
like
you
in
can-
their danger.
Oh,
I think
no,
he
you're
wants
not
to
getting.
do the
You're not
commit.
getting the
Yes,
sense of
commitment
danger.
thing. If
You
I
want to
could.
commit a force point to your defense using
Yes,
the sense
I'd like
power.
to start doing that. Yeah.
Excellent. You commit one of your force points. You center yourself and let the force flow through you, channeling it towards your, your perception to give you that edge if anyone strikes aggressively towards you. As you head out to the top of the broad stair, you see the officers who were carousing and singing their Navy songs assembled to the left of the door, shivering in the cold morning air, in their light jackets and short leather gloves are about the warmest thing any of them are wearing. They stand there blowing into their cupped hands, shivering in the air. Directly in front of you, centered, staring down towards the courtyard, is Agent Vanco. She has augmented her black ISB officer uniform with the armored chest plate, boots and gloves that are all the most that those of her station tend to wear. She is clasping behind her back in a disactivated electro truncheon, and she is staring down into the courtyard. To the right of the door, you see Baron Telek and his Imperial pilots all standing with smug looks on their face, also staring down her. One of Vanco's hands comes off her truncheon and motions for you to stop and says, "Silverstar, I'm so glad we talked yesterday. I know you didn't make much of it, but you brought to my attention that things had gotten lax around here. We had some missing troopers. I found most of them. I guess I finally found something to occupy myself with here." Then she lowers her hand, sort of indicating that you can come and join her there at the top of the stair to see whatever's going on down in the courtyard.
I'll join. I'll walk over.
All right. You see down the broad stair to the loop down there in the courtyard between the landing bay and the complex of buildings that make up the rest of the expat compound. Around the outside of this loop, in the deep snow, You see just a little more than 24 stormtroopers trudging knees high through the deep snow in full armor, each wearing a heavy pack with rifle raised above their head at full arm. They're being escorted by non-commissioned officers with their shoulder pauldrons. Behind this group, lagging behind by a few meters, is the remainder of the platoon. These troopers are still wearing their boots, but other than that, they just have skivvy shorts and undershirt, and their packs and rifles, of course. The sergeant of the platoon is accompanying them. Vanco looks at you out of the corner of her eye as she watches the troops approach the closest point of their circuit to the club. She says, we had 12 troopers missing last night, as well as 3 suits of armor and 2 rifles. We still have 1 trooper unaccounted for, and I suppose I can account for 1 of the suits of armor.
Yeah, I actually noticed a few things last night, or not last night, but whenever I was out the night before. I've seen your troops out a bit around town.
She gestures forward towards the stormtroopers, currently running circuits in the deep snow, and says, yes, most of them have been accounted for. We still have a few stragglers, probably down in town. Once these gentlemen finish their morning calisthenic, they'll do a sweep. I'm sure they'll find whatever might be hidden.
I hope they do.
She smiles and said, I knew you and I would see eye to eye, Silverstar. She wrinkles her nose at the sight of your armor and says, but if you really were who your family indicates you, history indicates you should be, you might have turned that in instead of personalizing it. She gestures towards your breastplate.
I could have.
You've got nothing for her.
That's it. I'm not gonna say that I stole their armor so that I could, make my own kind of stuff. I mean, it's pretty obvious that I did, but
I mean, you bought it from the pawn shop.
I mean, you didn't steal it.
Bought it. Yeah.
No, I didn't. You're right.
You can let her believe that
she
you
want
stole
to
it.
know
But
that
he's
I
not
got
going to
it?
volunteer that information.
I just don't need to volunteer the information.
Cops.
Right now, she's
Yeah.
hazing a bunch of troops that have been out that have been causing problems for me. I'm glad she's taking care of it. I hope she gets her unit in order and they stay where they're supposed to be. That way, I don't have to worry about them coming up on me.
She finds out that one of them was murdered last night by a vicious Gungan, and then they have to go and, deal with that. That'll be step 2 on her itinerary.
Yeah.
You're right. Her investigation should be thorough. They'll definitely be looking for that missing trooper. Yeah.
So
This all would have happened if she had been able to keep in charge of her command.
She's not in charge of the stormtroopers,
Oh, man.
So,
but she's in
this
charge
all-
of punishing them, and so she's happy about this. She actually, so she looks pleased by all this as the troopers reach the apex of their circuit, coming as close to the bottom of the steps of the expat club as they can. You notice that Agent Vanco here looks just pleased as pie with the situation. She goes, things were getting boring around here, Silverstar. Now I've got a missing trooper, men on punishment detail. You've given me something to do. Made it a real working vacation. She says, I'm sure you're busy. You've got a race to plan, don't you?
Thank you for reminding me. Actually, I could talk to the 2 gentlemen that are with her. One of them's a racer, right?
No, Halloran is not here. He is retired, and he's not going to stand here and watch troops get, punished. He's working on his ship right now because there's a race imminent, probably. He's probably over at the hangar, if you had to guess.
All right. Then I think we should head into town and take care of that first, and then I'll get back to work on this race. Well, I wish you a good hazing, and I'll probably see you around soon.
Vanco says, yes, I'm sure you will be busy, but maybe keep yourself free for dinner. We can debrief each other.
Sounds good.
Oh my.
After that, she gives a scowl to Worram and the droids as you pass, and you head down.
Gonk you, lady.
A expat club land speeder is brought around, and even though it's like 2 blocks, you guys ride down into the center of town where the stores are. There are a couple of gear shops where you can buy your basic sundries and items specific to the terrain of the planet. There is a gun store where they also sell armor. There is a droid shop where they'll also work on cybernetics. There is a mechanic, and there is a local healer who has both high-tech and more holistic remedies for your ailments
Which slide?
here in town. Fishtown's got everything you might need. You have access to the compendium that you were able to look at for items you might want to buy if you need to make rolls. And if they're very common items, you probably don't need to roll at all to buy like stim pack, things like that.
Which
Okay,
slide
I don't know if
is
there
the
was
city
anything
on?
specific
Warren,
you
where
were
should we head
looking
first?
Which slide are we on?
for. Just the city itself is slide 7, and it's repeated several other places as well.
Gotcha. Cool. No, 7 works.
Yeah.
Yep.
There are a number of shops. Most of them are blue. Anything that's not just a like generic building is, stands out color-wise.
I have
Worram
an
definitely
idea.
wants to head to the healers to grab some stim packs and more Nullicane and other things. It's clear that this was not the first time that we're going to be with the rescue of their companion the other day. It's clear that we're going to be getting into combat further, and he wants to be ready. So,
Like
that's
any good
his
pacifist, he was
priority.
ready for combat.
And then probably also just he does want to get some just other general kind of gear, transponder, maybe another comlink, because he attached to the speeder the other day, and
It's gone now, yeah.
yeah, maybe it's like a duster or something, some actual cold weather gear, because that's been pretty,
Yeah. So Gaz's over by the road out of town.
Gaz's
is
gear.
generally anything you would wear out on a fishing trip. Otherwise, there's a gear store over by the eatery. But you guys pull up in the center of town first, across from the gun store, and the droid shop is the healer. This is a Mon Calamari woman who works out of the ground floor of her house. As you come in, she looks you up and down and says, "Worram, I heard about the trouble over at Zeef's last night. Is everything all right?"
it's been better, but I'm here to pick up. So
You cut out.
probably tell from that it wasn't great.
Sorry, Dan.
We're
Can you
at-
say that
Nod.
again? You cut out halfway through that.
Oh yeah, we're at just for clarification, we are at the healers, right? This
Yes,
is the
you guys
healer-
parked down in the center of.
Okay, so Worram turns to the Mon Calamari lady and says, "Well, I'm here to pick up some supplies, so you can imagine that it wasn't great last night. But we're all in one piece. I was looking to get some stim packs and some Nullicane to replenish my supplies."
She says, of course. My stocks are all right." She's able to sell you as much as you want to purchase of either of those items.
Okay, I'm gonna get 6 and 3.
All right.
Those.
She's
So I
buying.
believe it's
She's selling them
25.
at basic cost. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 25 for each of those. So, yeah. Let me just double check. But...
Yeah, the Nullicane.
I'm going to buy some as well.
All right.
Yeah, 25.
Stim packs are 25 credits each.
Yeah, so what's that? 225 then for that, I believe.
Okay.
I
For
have a
9.
brilliant idea.
Yeah. For 9, yeah, but split between the two.
And you're buying stim packs as well, Xavix?
Yes.
How many?
10.
All right, it's 250 credits then for that. The woman looks at your armor and then down at the nearly full package of stim packs that she's handing over to you, and she says, I hope there's not going to be more trouble in town.
That's what we aim to prevent. You know Zeef, he's always hot on the cape.
She
Trying to be
nods.
diplomatic here.
She nods. She knows that this is true. And she says, if Zeef's looking into it, I'm sure things will turn out all right. He's done us well these past years. All right. Your transaction made. You step out into the town square there. Across the way is the gun shop where your armor was refitted yesterday, Xavix, and directly across, diagonally, you see a store with a couple of droids. One, an even more rundown Gonk unit than Stomper. The other, a battered looking astromech of some unidentifiable make with all of the slush caked around it under a torn awning. Through the window, you see a few arms and a leg all hanging down, either cybernetic or droid parts in the window. That's the droid shop. Otherwise, the gear store is just down the road and around the corner over by the eatery. N4 looks over at the droids in front of the shop and says, Droid snatchers.
What are droid snatchers?
That's what she was worried about the restraining bolt leaving the premises. Her big fear was droid snatchers were going to take her away.
She says,
can Stomper
if
take
we
this
remove
one?
our... Yeah, Stomper can take this
Cool.
one, absolutely.
Stomper's going to waddle over to N4 and give her a charm check, trying to reassure her, just droid to droid. Hey, you're in good hands here. These biologicals, they've taken good care of me. You're safe here.
You're rolling a 1 green for your charm. You're going to get a blue because you're a droid. Would you like to spend a destiny point to turn your 1 green into a yellow?
I have plans for destiny points later, but yeah, I'll do it anyway.
So you have plans for 5 destiny points later? Really?
We'll see.
All right. The difficulty is going to be 3 purples and... 3 purples.
Okay. Yes.
Stomper takes a strain from the cold as the frigid temperatures seep into his ancient systems, but he gonks reassuringly at N4. She bends down and rests a delicate chrome hand on top of his pitted, rusted chassis and says, You're right, Stomper. I do have you here to keep me safe. Where next, Master Silverstar?
I need to head to the... where is it?
You can roll to look for the item you want, and then I'll say, oh, you guys go over here to get it, if you find it, basically. What is it you want to buy, David?
Well, I think we need a few grenades.
Okay. Gun store it is.
Yep, that's fine.
If they're basic kind of grenades, he's got them in stock. If they're anything with a specialized name, then you'll have to roll to see if he has them. But if you're just looking for your basic frag or stun grenade, he's got them.
And if I have to draw things as an incidental, like Worram's belt, where would I get something similar to that?
So at the gun store, you can buy those pouches that you can affix to your clothing that will allow you to incidentally draw an item.
Cool.
Off the bat, they only hold a silhouette 0 or an encumbrance 0 item, and grenades are not encumbrance 0, but you can modify them to hold an encumbrance 1 item, which grenades or other things are, basically. So they're small pouches, and then you can widen them. Yeah, man, you got to look at those ability notes. They got
Really?
one modification. You can make them bigger and then stuff grenades in them instead.